tongue bite my time, wearing a warning sign. Wait till the world is mine. Visions I vandalize, cold in my kingdom size. Fell for these ocean eyes. You should see me in a crowd. I'm gonna run this nothing down. Watch me make 'em bow. One by one by one, one by one by. You should see me in a crowd. Your silence is my favorite sound. Watch me make 'em bow. One by one by one, one by one by. Count my cards, watch them fall. Blood on the wall. I like the way they are. Tell me which one is worse, living or dying.
It took God 7 days to create paradise. Let's see if I can do better. Enchantress.
Oh, baby, I think you're pretty.
You see what you're doing? Playing my ego? It won't be played.
I'm okay. I'm not your baby. If you think I'm pretty,
Yeah.
you should see me in a crowd. I'm gonna run this nothing down. Watch me make 'em bow. One by one by one, one by one by. You should see me in a crowd. Your silence is my favorite sound. Watch me make 'em bow. One by one by one, one by one by.
Do your worst, bitch.
I'm gonna run this nothing down.
I hope I haven't broken this place.
Watch me make 'em bow. One by one by one by one by. You should see me in a crowd. Your silence is my favorite sound. Watch me make 'em bow. One by one by one, one by one by.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to end out this crazy month by having a ladies' night with talking about the insanity that has gone on with the Depp and the Heard trial. This has been, I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. It's honestly free entertainment, but it's nice to see some of the people open their eyes to what is actually going on. And it is so perfect timing because Miss Saggy made it. Hello, Saggy. How are you?
I literally sped home.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
The gift with the cat driving.
I was legit doing like 90 on the highway.
Oh my God. You
So
don't
that's
have to
normal
do
here in
that.
Florida.
I'm just
Honey, you have
glad I
so
know how to
much more
drive.
worse issues than that in Florida. Have you ever seen the challenge where they you put Florida man and then your date of birth? Like the day you... Oh my God.
No.
It's like, it's absolutely insane. But yeah, so we're going to talk about the Depp stuff. We're going to talk about the different people that showed up. And honestly, I streamed almost all of it. Um, there was a little bit that I missed there, but that was a lot of investment. Like, it was 40 hours a week for 5 weeks, 6 weeks, but one was off. And it was pretty enlightening. Now, I know you've kind of been dying to talk about this. So what's your idea on this, Miss Liana? What did you think overall?
Well, I made some predictions before this thing started, right? About what was going to go on with the trial. One, it was going to be the court of public opinion, not really the jury in this case. It really made it. And two, Amber Heard was going to be like taken down by her own stank face. And both were correct.
Yeah.
Both were so correct. So I was not sure about the stank face, but she did not disappoint. For all the money that both of them are putting into this, both were fairly undisciplined as witnesses, but he tangled up and tangled on better than she did, like by far. So
I feel like he almost played we see him as all of these different characters, right? He's played all of these different, whether it's Captain Jack Sparrow or it's, the guy, I don't know, Secret Window or Edward Scissorhand. He almost felt like he was playing a character. Like, and I don't mean that in a derogative way. I don't know if it's just because he's so charming, but he was making the jury laugh. He was making people like, he made so many memes just himself, like people joking about the mega pint or, like this man has won the court of public opinion hands down. I don't know a single, like I have videos out this month that have millions of views talking about Depp, and I don't have a single Depp or Amber supporter on that. That speaks volumes to me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes there'll be a couple here and there, but
I think in the beginning she had supporters because everybody just believed what she said until that recording came out and everyone's like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Well, I mean, she's still got Eve Barlow, right?
She's still got what?
She's still got Eve Barlow. She's still got some people. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the PR blitz after she changed PR teams was so notable and stark that I think it might have actually hurt them because it was sudden this like rocket took off the minute the defense started presenting their case. And all of a sudden there were all this is terrible for the Me Too movement articles, which is, let's face it, if a publicist is calling in favors, that's really the only take a commentary writer can make that isn't just complete nonsense, right? It's 80% nonsense, but it's not complete nonsense. And
well, I actually have a question for you. Because I seen this video and I was watching it and I wanted to make sure I asked you specifically. Do you think this is the end of the Me Too era?
No. People forget
that's what it was.
People forget that Kevin Spacey and Anthony Rapp were part of the early Me Too movement. Just because it's a male victim instead of a female victim is not the end of Me Too.
Like, there needs to be accountability, but there also needs to be some sort, I don't know how it's even possible, but differentiation between victims that are male and female, because a lot of people were going, "Oh, this is a win for men. This is a win for men." And I know I mentioned this before. I don't like that. I think it's a win for victims of domestic violence. And a lot of people go with the men aspect of it. And I get it. It's, it's more rare in a public light. But
did people forget about Terry Crews? Like when the Me Too movement first started, Terry Crews came out and said, yeah, he was sexually harassed and stuff too. So they haven't forgotten about Terry Crews. Right. Terry Crews got clowned for it too. And I'm sitting there like, why? Because he's a guy, he's a big dude. That doesn't mean he didn't get sexually harassed. You act like that there aren't gay men in the industry who would sexually, or bisexual men who would sexually harass
or assault men in the industry. And when Terry Crews was one of the first men that came out, and and everyone just forgot about that. So when they were saying, "Oh, this is a win for men," it's like no one remembered Terry Crews, because I sure did.
I remember
didn't.
as well.
Yeah, I remember that.
See, it's oh my goodness, my voice. I'm losing it after days of streaming. I'm not even kidding. But I forgot all about Terry Crews until you mentioned him. So yeah, maybe some people need to be reminded, because like this is a if this ends up being a win. It's a big win for domestic violence victims. But I don't know. I watched this whole thing unfold, and I still am of the mind of defamation suits are really hard to win. Really hard to win. And I don't know. I was 60-40 for Depp, but now I'm 60-40 for Amber, just because I don't like the court system. The way that they treat women is very different than the way that they treat men. Kate, you're being very quiet. What did you think about the entire insanity?
Well, honestly, I've kind of not been paying too much attention to the Depp and Heard situation. I usually wait until when these situations happen, any kind of court case, I always wait until the very end to watch everything when I'm able to. And lately I've just, I finished a semester, so I didn't really catch up too much with it. But I know a few things like that happened that was the whole PR team. I was like, what the fuck is with this? You don't do that. You don't do that in the middle of something like this. It just makes it look worse. I'm like, what the hell? Oh, sorry. I also get really quiet due to my dogs. Like, if I mute my mic, it's usually when they start barking, and I don't want that translated into the microphone.
Oh no, you're totally fine. I just wanted to get your opinion, because I think we all have a little bit different, come a little bit different walks of life. And I hadn't heard yours, so I was curious. Carrie has been Carrie, she's been awesome. I'm not even kidding. She's been sending me articles and everything else, and I'm like, oh my God, I'll credit you, but I'm using this. I'll credit you, but I'm using it. She's been sending me these great stuff. So what did you think about all this kind of unfolding before our eyes on social media?
It was kind of crazy, because you were mentioning before that you don't see a lot of Heard supporters, but what I see, and we've talked about this before, is a lot of people who don't want to admit that they were wrong, blaming Depp, but saying, oh, Heard is also bad. They're both bad. And you're just kind of like, well, I don't know, did you look at the evidence? No, they're both bad. And I'm like,
I mean, yeah, I get that, but the psychologist entered an idea of there can only be one true abuser.
Exactly.
I think it was Dr. Curry. The other one said it can be mutual, but there's always an aggressor in a situation, which puts them by default as the one that's doing the abuse. And my thing is, and I've said this since this all started, there's evidence of Amber hitting Johnny. There's evidence of the berating he went through. There's evidence of all of these things, but no evidence for the sexual assault. I mean, the domestic violence ones are very iffy. We saw that from the metadata expert, who wasn't great. I was a little disappointed, I'm not gonna lie. But if it was so bad and it was all these things all the time, why are we just now hearing about the bottle allegations? Why is there not more? Why is this not an easy slam dunk for her? Because she was clearly taping shit.
Wasn't that whole angle struck from the UK trial because it was outside the scope? I know somebody tried to get some sexual assault allegation into the UK trial, but the judge wouldn't allow it. Yeah, because that wasn't relevant to the whole wife beater thing.
Well, there was one sexual assault encounter in the Caribbean that they allowed in.
Right.
But this one was brand new.
Yeah, I mean, my big concern about this whole thing, I'm not as up on what this trial's going to do. I'm not as positive about what this trial's going to do for victims, because the amount of addiction shaming and the way certainly I saw a lot more evidence of it with her defense team, but the way they went after third parties was savage, and that is a marker of abuse, when you
Right.
attack people who just happen to be bystanders to the abuse to try to isolate the victim of abuse. I mean, that's what it's doing when you call Paul Bettany a drug buddy, right? You're trying to make the target of your abuse so toxic to the people around them because it's hurting their careers and hurting their reputations now that they flee. And I haven't seen enough discussion, which is why, you know, I take the hits on Twitter and stuff like that talking about it, because those are things that are poorly understood, that are very real dynamics in that power imbalance that comes with a pattern of abuse, especially the psychological component. And addicts are much more likely than the general population to be victims of abuse. We hear about alcohol and some drugs and, you know, the perpetrating violence, but not how addicts are more prone to being the victims of violence. And that's because they get the, well, you're an addict, no one will believe you. And that was basically the ruling in the UK. So that's my big concern about, we have to do some pretty major cleanup over the literal shitting of the bed that happened in this trial.
Oh my
No,
god.
the thing that's interesting, right, is like the more I listen to this case, not, like people aren't understanding. Like obviously, nothing. Anyone who supports Amber Heard, for the record, by the way, fuck Amber Heard. But the whole thing with the bottle, the sexual assault, right? Now, think about it. Like, I want everyone to really think about this. Okay, this is a woman who has on a recording of her being tough, hitting him, beating on him, or in her case, defending herself against his abuse, right? But like, if she got assaulted with a bottle, number one, like if she got sexually assaulted, like the fact that she's like, well, he sexually assaulted me, that's why I hit him. Like, no. She's just like, oh, I hope to God it wasn't the broken one. Like, all the recordings we heard her being violent and aggressive towards her, and her argument was being like, oh, I was defending myself, I was standing up to him. But where was the you standing up to him when he allegedly assaulted you with a bottle, Amber? Like, you were so tough with him just apparently pushing your sister down the stairs and you attacked him, but when he assaulted you, you didn't attack him? You didn't call the cops when it happened? There was no police reports?
A lot of
pain.
inconsistencies.
Oh yeah.
It's
Man,
just
hearing
very
about this
strange
just
that-
ooh.
yeah, it's very strange that was not documented. I admit the photos of stuff that was documented was not consistent with certain elements of the narrative. Like if you put all the photos and things like that aside, if you compare Amber Heard's testimony about what they call the staircase incident, and then her sister's testimony of the staircase incident, they are actually not consistent.
Yeah.
No.
That you know,
right. But you know, Liana, do you know what's even crazier, right? Is that we heard stories about her admitting she hit Johnny and stuff, but notice Johnny never, like, there was no like, he hit me back. Like, there's no evidence that Johnny actually hit her back. Like, she said they're saying, oh, I hit you, but she never said you hit me back or you hit me first. There was none of that.
The bitch
so
bought
clearly,
him a knife. The bitch that claimed she was afraid for her life bought him a knife that said something along the lines of, only death can end this. She bought him a knife. Tell me you were scared without telling me you weren't scared. Come on.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. She was not scared at all. And that was evident to the fact that if she was so scared, why would she hit him? When you're scared of somebody, you're not going to fight that person. You're not going to put hands on that person because you're afraid of them. You're afraid of what they would do to you if you dared to do that. So the fact that she has the audacity and pretended to be scared of Johnny Depp, it's like, you were never scared, bitch, because a scared person is not harming the person or attacking the person they're fucking afraid of. That's not how it works. Right. Like, you don't need to be a fucking psychologist to understand that. That's just common human nature. Like, anyone here, if you're afraid of someone, are you going to fight somebody?
Hell
no. I gotta give a little bit of nuance to this stuff. Some people actually do snap and retaliate. I mean, Johnny Depp claims that's what he did that night with the vodka bottle finger thing, right? I mean, he admits he lost his shit then. He admits he accidentally headbutted her. He admits that he hit her foot with a door by accident when he was like trying to barricade himself in a bathroom. But it's the monster came out texts to her parents that they're using as evidence that he abused her. And I mean, let's face it, that could mean a lot of things. That could be him trying to stabilize the situation by taking responsibility for things that weren't his responsibility. It could be him referring to, raised voices or not conducting himself, but that's what they're trying to use as proof he abused her.
Yeah.
Right?
And yeah, no, I get the snapping thing.
Yeah.
I do get the snapping thing. Everyone does have a breaking point, but
Yeah.
this was not a situation of like, and I'm talking like how Amber is afraid of Johnny, where she snapped on him. Like, if it was a snap, that's one thing. Usually people reach their breaking point, they snap, but after they snap, they like, whoa, I need to get the fuck out of this. Right? But you're not constantly snapping. You're not constantly snapping. You're usually taking it and taking that fear and taking that verbal abuse or whatever for a long time until you snap. But with Amber, she was the abuser. It was very obvious. Like I said, she was never afraid of Johnny. There was never an instance where she was afraid of Johnny other than her faking it on trial. And that's why I called the bullshit. This whole thing, and I get it, it's a defamation lawsuit. There is a chance Johnny can lose because the argument isn't, well, who was abusive? Like, let's make it clear. The argument isn't, was Amber abusive or Johnny was abusive. The defamation lawsuit is, did Amber lie and defame him that made him lose his career? That's malice. If was there malice intent? That's what it comes down to. So there's still a chance this bitch can win.
Yeah,
there's a good chance. Yeah, there's a good chance. But I mean, they knew that going in. Right. It doesn't necessarily mean that people believe her anymore. I mean, O.J. Simpson got acquitted, right?
Oh yeah, and he did it.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, everybody's like, I mean, Cosby's free, right? Does anybody believe Cosby's?
That's terrifying that he got free.
But it's a technicality, right?
Yeah, it was a technicality.
Yeah. And
it's mind-boggling, honestly. It is. I seen that and I thought it was a fucking joke. I'm like, what's the date? Like, it blows my mind. Same with Casey Anthony pointed out. Like, a lot of these things happen with technicalities, but this isn't criminal. We're talking, like Saggy said, about something that is very hard to win, and it has to be shown that it was done with malice.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about the two different female psychologists. We had Dr. Dawn Hughes and Dr. Curry. My love. I loved her. Carrie, what did you think about, first off about the first one we saw was Dr. Curry. What did you think about her testimony as compared to Amber's specialist?
I think
Amber's messalist.
Yeah, oh God. I think she was far more professional and seemed to know her stuff better than the other one. The other one seemed to be far more concerned with her ego. Because she was getting defensive constantly. But I think
she was reading right off a script half the time.
And she was
I'm sorry, say that again?
She was like, they kept having to tell her the first time she was on to stop reading from her papers. Like,
yeah.
I loved how, I'm not going to lie, when it became Cross, and it wasn't Ben, it was the other one, and I can't remember his name. He went in straight with the pronouns. Like, you're using these on purpose, aren't you? You're trying to say that these things happen and paint it in a light that Johnny did it. He, like, completely knocked her stuff out of the water. And then they went in with the, almost both sides did this. Both sides were very guilty of this. How much did you get paid? How much did you get paid?
That's standard, though.
Yeah.
That's standard, though. They sort of have to do that or it's malpractice.
Like, but I don't see that as a defense because people have to get paid for their time. Like, I get it. Maybe there's pro bono, but I have no issue with these people, these specialists getting paid. That's their job. That's their job.
Yeah.
I get it.
I mean, Dr. Hughes was biased as hell. We talked about this. I think it was actually on when we were talking about this. How like she was just kept talking about domestic violence with women, and nobody asked her, which is crazy. I would have asked her if I was on Johnny's legal team. Have you ever treated men who have been, in domestic violence Nobody asked her about the guys. Like, it was all, I've helped domestic women and abuse of women being abused, women. I'm like, but what about the men? You biased bitch. That's what I'm telling you. She was biased as hell. Bitch.
The funny thing about it is, oh yeah, go ahead, Carrie. I'm sorry.
Why is it that every one of her expert witnesses come off like a villain from a Hanna-Barbera cartoon?
I know, right? Me and Tristan were talking about that. We're like, dude, all of Amber's witnesses were rude, impatient, like weird. And then you got Johnny's witnesses that were all like personable, like nice and calm and cool, collected, threw some shade back at Amber's team. It was beautiful.
Right.
I think we're talking about two teams with radically different media training and media skills. A forensic psychologist is often not used to TV cameras, right? I don't think a lot of them knew what they were getting into, which is unfortunate, but a lot of people had their careers ruined by the OJ trial. I think, unfortunately, that's going to happen again.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if the OJ trial, like, had social media like this? Like, it would be this absolute shit show that we've seen unfold in front of us right now. Like, I don't remember the OJ trial. For the most part, I think I was like barely walking, but
dog agrees.
I think everybody remembers that, like, the whole thing, I put the glove won't fit the glove. Like, everybody remembers that shit. People in 20 years are going to be going, oh my God, what about a megapint?
See, I'd argue that the only reason there won't be a riot after this is because people were able to vent on social media. Things blew up after the O.J. Simpson thing. It was a big
really?
deal. Oh, yeah, am I the only one old enough to remember the O.J. trial?
No.
Oh no,
Okay.
I remember.
I was about to go, oh, for fuck's sake. Back in my day, we had this thing called television. It was like the internet, but in a box in your living room. Oh my God. But yeah, I mean, OJ was a big deal. It captivated the world. The interesting thing about the Depp Heard trial is that sometimes, especially times during closing arguments, I find myself going, you'd swear this was a criminal sexual assault trial by the way they're focusing on those details. It was like 10 minutes on the article, and then all the graphic descriptions of, and apparently the jury just checked out. There was some really great coverage of people just analyzing the jury. That struck me as a poor legal strategy, but a PR strategy that gave the pro-Amber media another cycle to repeat those quotes. That's all that does.
Yeah, but then the PR team got their own bad PR. And it came out that he was the Me Too guy of the PR world. Like, it came out he had his own big issues. Like, when she chooses shitty people, she knows how to pick them. Like, if you are, I understand, like, some of these people don't understand, they're on television, everything of that. But Johnny's, even his team felt more, like a team? Yes, like a team. Yeah. They did, and even his people felt more wholesome, more like that Isaac Baruch. Oh my God, I wanted to give him a hug.
That seems so long ago.
I know.
It seems so long ago.
It was right in the beginning, but he was so sweet and like the Isaac literally had more emotion during that couple hours he was on the stand than Amber had the entire time, in my opinion.
The guy vaping in his car had
awesome. I love him. I follow him now on TikTok, and he always puts stuff out about Johnny and stuff. I'm like, Hamina sent me his TikTok a while ago. I'm like, that's fucking cool. Like, there was so many. The judge said this is the first, like, 3 or 4 different times. Like,
to me, it was the guy from the trailer park who was one of the more compelling witnesses, just because he had nothing to gain coming forward. That's just somebody going, yeah, I was there. No, that's not right. And as somebody who was in that situation and got nothing but trouble for it going forward, like got attacked, and I didn't want to get into it, bless that guy. We need more people like that guy.
Wait, I have a question.
ahead.
Was it confirmed that she's gonna be in Aquaman 2 for less than 10 minutes? Less than 10,
I think
10
so,
minutes,
yeah.
not 10 minutes, less than.
Yeah.
Okay.
About 10 minutes.
Uh,
About 10 minutes.
Well, I know
I'm not
Grace
sure if it was
Randolph
still a
said
rumor.
no. It's confirmed. Even James Wan, not James Wan. Walter Hamada came on and
How'd
said,
you get that confused?
I know. I'm sorry. I'm thinking James Wan's the director of Aquaman. That's what I was thinking. But
going off of
basically-
Bianca too, I do want to just. Oh well, I'll let you finish. Sorry, and then I have a
No.
question
You're
along
fine.
the-
I was just saying. He just said, yeah, it wasn't because of Depp. It was because she has terrible chemistry with Momoa. Go ahead, Saggy.
Yeah, no, this was a debate in my last stream when we were talking about this. And I want to know what you guys all on the panel and the chat all think about this, because an important question was asked is when Walter Hamada was on the stand why did no one ask him flat out was Amber Heard or what she said about Johnny or the situation with the reason why he lost his role in Fantastic Beasts, because I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers does that, right?
Yeah.
Right,
I
but
don't know
it-
why
isn't he
nobody
the president
asked.
of
Why
DC?
did no one ask that?
I think because he was the president of DC Films.
The
No,
only
I think
other
it's one
thing
of
is he got
the-
paid.
Also, the Fantastic Beasts thing happened after he lost the UK trial, and everything past a certain sunset date was not relevant to this case.
Right.
Okay, because I was wondering, like, because somebody brought that up, I'm like, that's true. Why didn't they ask him about that? Why didn't they ask anybody who he lost the roles to if the reason why he lost the roles was because of that? Because that would have just shut this case closed.
Yeah,
I have never seen a president like that of film like that ever in a trial. Is that a normal thing? Like, does anyone know?
No, I don't know.
What to see?
Well-
What a president of a company like that?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're subpoenaed to be in court to testify, I mean, it doesn't seem that weird.
Wait, Walter Hamada is only in charge of the DC stuff, not the entire WB in
Right.
general, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ah, gotcha.
he's Ray Fisher's supervillain.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was WB or just DC.
I
Yeah,
didn't know either.
I can't
No,
keep
it's
track
just
of
DC.
everybody's job descriptions that I ain't getting paid to know. So I mean, it's just.
I mean, if I'm Warner Brothers right now, I'm shitting bricks about Aquaman 2 because the first movie made so much money. I will repeat,
1.1 billion.
a DC superhero movie made so much money. They don't want anything going wrong with Aquaman 2. And I mean, Jason Momoa showed a lot of discipline. The only sort of message from him is him following Johnny Depp on social media.
I love it though.
I mean, he couldn't keep
Hilarious.
his mouth shut during the final season of Game of Thrones, and he said nothing during this whole thing. And he was trending on Twitter for like so many days. And apparently, I mean, she made accusations against Momoa too. She claimed he was a big bully.
What?
Oh, you guys
I
don't
didn't hear this
remember
one.
this?
No.
I heard about
No.
it briefly.
She claimed that when they were in the harnesses for the stupid, water effects, that she used to read a book. And he got mad at her one day and like tore the book in half.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Oh, yes.
Look at
Make
her.
sure
That
it didn't
already.
happen.
No, I'm
Oh,
saying
yeah.
yeah, right, like as if Jason Momoa would do that. Jason Momoa, like if you actually follow Jason Momoa, like outside of just acting, you see how he is with people in the real world, and he seems like he's just a normal, chill guy. I don't see him getting big mad like that and just, you're reading? How dare you read during shooting?
Here's my theory about how what she said could technically be true and still misleading. Because that's the thing about her, right? People often try to not lie. They don't tell the truth, but they don't lie. Like pledged and donated being the same to her, right?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
that should be a meme.
But when you are working with someone, it is actually incredibly rude and unprofessional to do what she did. If you're supposed to be connected in a scene, you have to be a collaborator and work with it to get that chemistry that they didn't fucking have in that movie. And so if I were him, I'd sort of as a joke kind of grab the book, and it's a paperback book. She can get another one, right? But to make the point, hello, are you here? We're getting paid millions to make this movie. Show up and be present. Come on.
Right.
Oh yeah, that makes more
Wait,
sense.
don't they usually do a chemistry evaluation with actors?
Usually.
And so
They
did they
should
not
do?
do that with?
Okay,
yeah,
but
they do.
she's one of those people who can fake it
Yes.
in the short term. So she was probably amazing in the chemistry test, and then she was reading a goddamn book on set.
Because I was gonna say, did they? I was wondering if they did the chemistry test with Jason and Amber. Because in my head, I'm like, how did y'all not know they didn't have good chemistry? If y'all did the test to see if they read together and if it was good chemistry, but I mean,
well, I mean, she was cast by Snyder, wasn't she?
Yeah, because that would have been the original Aquaman.
So
no, Zach, Zach, you done goofed.
She was cast for Snyder Cut.
Was she in Justice League, the Wheaton one?
Yeah,
no, she was in the Snyder Cut version?
She was in the Snyder Cut version. Her hair
Yeah.
was a different shade of red, and she had a different accent.
It was so bad.
She was
glad I
actually
didn't
better
watch
in the Snyder
anything.
Cut than she was in Aquaman.
Why did she have a that was random as hell too, that accent.
Well, I think they were going more for the original Camelot underwater deal with Aquaman in the Snyder Cut. I think that everybody was sort of done by the time they made the Aquaman movie. That is a character type which is interesting, which is consistent with how Dr. Curry described Amber Heard, and not consistent with how Dr. Hughes described Amber Heard in the trial. And that's really interesting. I'm both really concerned about the stigma against people with borderline personality disorder, but also the behavior does track. And the nuance is that, yes, people who are abusive and have BPD do have certain traits. However, plenty of people have BPD and don't throw vodka bottles at their husband's fingers, right? So it's important to make that distinction, but that everything is amazing, that we're together forever, the way she described it, that everything was amazing and beautiful, and then it was awful and terrible. That's something called depedestaling. And it is consistent with people with borderline personality disorder.
The way she talked was freaking weird, Liana. Like, just the way she described her relationship with Johnny was like, it literally was like a bad narration of like somebody reading a friggin' erotic fan fiction. And it was really cringe.
That's more the narcissistic personality disorder. I forget what Dr. Curry, what did she call it, NPD?
Historic.
She used histrionic.
Histrionic, yeah.
They don't tend to use that terminology in some circles because it's gendered, but yeah, that's a marker, that very flowery language. Now Johnny Depp uses it too, which is why the utterly awful other guy. I mean, Dr. Hughes was way better than that other guy they brought up. What the heck was his name?
What the heck was that?
Spiegler?
Yeah, Dr. Smeagol, as they called him.
The mad scientist.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But that's why, see, he was doing the shady thing of interchanging narcissistic traits with narcissistic personality disorder. And it's really easy to accuse an actor of narcissistic traits, right? A guy like Johnny Depp, even I have to fake narcissistic traits at times because that's what people expect of performers. But Johnny Depp, he's a people pleaser in the way that people are when they have an abusive parent, right? Whereas an actual, and everybody has some element of narcissism in them. It's sort of a spectrum where those disorders come in are when it actually negatively interferes or impairs an element of their life, that there's actually negative consequences for the histrionic or the narcissistic tendency. And the stuff with Amber Heard's financials is, again, and I mean, he had financial issues too, but that's one of those things, that the lack of impulse control, right? So both of them, if you're just sort of doing a checklist, could fit the bill. But again, a lot of people get into financial problems and don't have, what was formerly called an access to personality disorder. They've gotten rid of that. But, a serious issue. That whole thing, it's something that happens in trials. I get it. It's what they do. But again, I wish some of the commentary, especially on the bigger services like Court TV, had gotten into the stigma. That was something, wasn't it, that they said he was a narcissist for eating candy?
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
that was ridiculous. You know what I don't like about some of, and I think Dr. Hughes and Dr. Curry are both a little guilty of this, but what I didn't like was, yes, people can suffer from these things, but you are blaming truly just bad behavior on that. And I understand it does take some blame, but at some point, you got to realize that not everybody, you can't blame her being histrionic on, or bipolar, whatever it is. You can't blame bad behavior on that. Sure, it can lead to it, but everybody also has a little bit of accountability that they need to reach inside them and realize when they're bad, they're just bad. And like, I think most, I would say, have suffered from some sort of, mental illness. It could be something small as, not small. That sounds dickish, but I mean like something more common like depression or anxiety. I've suffered through very bad depression before. I've never fucking went out and physically hurt somebody. Like, there needs to be more conversations on how to prevent this or prevent this type of behavior. And I know every person is different, but a lot of people don't know what these things mean. And they just go, oh, well, that explains it. She's a narcissist. No, that's, it leads to a conversation of blaming the disease and not the bad behavior. You know what I mean?
I think that was something that Depp's legal team didn't do well. They didn't make the connection between the presumed diagnosis or tentative diagnosis of borderline personality disorder and the inability for her to sever the connection between them. That's why it was relevant. Why would she do all of this? Why would she write an op-ed like this? Well, it's consistent with the BPD sort of mantra is, I hate you, don't leave me. And you sort of see that all the way through. So, her inability to let him get space, her inability to accept that it's over, her needing to continue a connection with him by not mentioning him in Washington Post op-eds that she didn't even really write.
Right.
All of that, the needing to be a public figure associated with domestic violence, hint, 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 notice me, Johnny, meet me, Johnny. Is this the way it's going to be, Johnny? All of that is consistent. And, based on the fact that I'm explaining this here, they didn't make the connection effectively. And I don't know if that's because some objections were sustained or what, or they just thought, well, it's not relevant to our case. But that was why that particular detail was significant to me. But yeah, I agreed that they didn't connect the dots.
Yeah, no, it was very apparent, and this is a common trait with I won't say women, but we'll generalize here and say people in general. But usually, what happens is you have a person, like, you could hear it whenever Amber and Johnny got into an argument, he would try to leave to de-escalate. He needed some time, like, give them time, and she'd always chase it, and that was a common occurrence in every argument that they had. Was that they would have an argument, he would try to walk away and she would pursue him. And that is somebody who wants to have control of the situation at all times. No. You're leaving. You're walking away from the problem. We're not making a solution. No. He's walking away because that's what a man in particular should do when a woman is yap in their face and they're unreasonable and they're not trying to calm down and they're escalating, and you need to walk away so you don't end up throwing hands. And I don't understand why people could even like sit there and think Amber Heard was in the right. It's like, why anyone who supports Amber Heard's like, she tried to fight. She wanted the fight. She wanted him to probably hit her so she can boo-hoo cry about it. Like, I'm sorry, but that's just, she wanted to be a victim, and that's all she wanted. Liana was 100% right. That's the type of person Amber Heard is. And you guys, you can sit there and be like, well, why are you diagnosing? It's not a diagnosis. It's a clear observation.
Fair
But
enough. I mean, Saggy, you know as well as I do why people don't understand why it's good he walked away. Exactly what she was leveraging, right? Stereotypes about masculinity, stereotypes about toughness, you know, don't back down, don't walk away. That, and I don't think it was originally pre-planned with her, because she went in thinking she was going to be, you know, the ultimate woman stealing him away from his marriage. And I'm sure she had this whole plan in her head that didn't work because reality hit. And then it was just pushing every button she possibly could. I mean, in the situations I've been a third party to where this has happened, that's been the that's been the pattern, that when the honeymoon period is over, well, they didn't even get through the honeymoon apparently before she was slugging him in the face. But the proverbial honeymoon period, the minute it depedestals, well, then it's the, well, you're garbage, you're this, you're that. There has to be something, right? And that as Saggy said, that, you know, that classic quote of, tell them I, Johnny Depp, a man, I'm a victim of, you know, domestic violence, right? Like it was right there.
That has to be a troll. That has to be a troll, bro.
Wait, what?
Can't. In their
No,
chat,
she
that
was-
has to be a troll.
Oh, in the chat. Okay.
Aren't we supposed to say it's a bot? Is it bots? It's a bot.
Wait,
No, I'm kidding.
I
That
don't
was a
see
joke,
it.
everybody. It's gone already.
Oh my
Oh, you gotta
goodness.
scroll down.
That was hilarious. But no, like the thing that's really fascinating, right? It's like the more you look at this case and everything that was said, everything that was done, I feel like the whole thing is like, somebody said too, and I this is a theory. This is a theory, guys. I'm not saying this is a fact. This is my theory. This was a setup from the jump. Because Amber Heard was not an established actress. That
was going to be one of my questions.
Yeah, she just broke into the industry. She happened to meet Johnny Depp, who is established, who is older, who does have a lot of money, who is still actively working, and she got him. She got him, and as soon as she married him, locked down. Boom, cash day, cash flow. I got it. I made it. She married a big celebrity. And then what did she do? She wanted to control him. She was younger. There was an age difference. And she wanted that control. So she abused him, and she wanted to make him submissive to her for her wants and needs. Because again, let's look at the comparables, right? Is anyone going to compare Amber Heard to Johnny Depp? Has anyone is Johnny Depp comparable to Amber Heard?
They tried to compare her to Zendaya in the trial.
That was going to be one of my things.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like Amber Heard, and this is why I think you know. Wait, I hear some loudness. Is that? Am I bugging? Am I hearing feedback?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh,
I don't know who this is.
I don't know.
Really compelling background noise. Not gonna lie.
Yes, it is right. Yeah. Everyone got quiet for a second. Like, what is that?
Yeah, I was trying. So, Kate, do you think in this whole situation, now you're a little bit more removed than what we are, do you think this was a plan from the beginning?
I can really understand exactly what could be going on because okay, little bit of a background story. My dad was a part of, like, he was a leader, not really a leader, but a person who would, I don't know what you call them exactly. My name, like, the name just goes through my head and I'm just like, I gotta remember what it is. But he used to be a part of a domestic abuse group where, you know, he would go in and help lots of people who would come in, talk
Aw.
about their problems. And would he eventually caught on with like these signs and what would happen with, like, you know, different victims of abuse. And some of those, like, you know, signs of abuse is usually the women that are like, it was mostly women, but there were like maybe one or two guys every once in a while, he said. But it was like always hard because, you know, talking to another guy about this, they would just like, you know, most of the time it was younger 20-year-old men, as he remembered. But anyways, he always told me when usually with their each and every victim's story is that generally most of the abusers tend to aim at women who, or, you know, victims who don't have that much power, know that they're like, you know, they're nicer and kinder, and you generally get those vibes from them. And I think, you know, with Johnny being really nice and such, from what we've noticed about him in public, doing all those different charity events and such. And, you know, Amber was just like, okay, he's a nice guy on set, he's a nice guy outside of the set. So yeah, that seems like something she could work on. But of course, she's not at that point because, oh my goodness, Thumbelina.
Doggos.
The dog agree. The dogs agree.
I heard a big dog, and now I'm hearing a medium-sized dog, and then mine's just super small.
That was Thumbelina. So okay.
But yeah, Thumbelina, that's the cutest name ever. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
It's fine. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, most of the time the signs of these victims are generally that they're more nicer and kinder, and like you generally aim at the people who can't fight back, or if they said anything, like, you know, they don't want to push other, like, their problems onto other people. That's another observation he's noticed. And generally with the abusers that he's noticed about, like, they tend to be very clingy, and Amber was definitely clingy from like what I've like watched and such. And oh god, just remembering how it started and shit, I'm just like, oh my fucking god, like how could no one see the signs? But I'm not trying to say I blame this person, I blame that. No, hell no. It's hard to, like, you know, see it approaching because, you know, most of the time victims don't really notice that because, you know, they come with you and they go, not come for you, but like go for you. They approach you in a way that basically pulls you in.
Love bombing.
Love bombing, yep.
And, you know, afterwards, after the honeymoon stage, after like all the sweet and I don't really want to think of Sweet and Amber Heard, actually.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh my god.
It seems very much constructed. It feels like she basically hoped for this. I mean, that sounds like an evil plan someone would just come up with just so they can, you know, become a top actor, or like, because it seems really weird. Why would you aim for the, you know, highest of the hills and, you know, hope that it works well for you?
Fake it till you make it.
Oh, there's a lot of women in LA like that, though.
Yeah, like
they're opportunists. They're opportunists.
That's a lifestyle. It's not even opportunities. It's like a career path.
I'm just a little surprised nobody on the security team noticed that. Like, that's just my opinion, though.
They did. They just couldn't say nothing because he was in love.
Of course, yeah.
Like that's the problem. If you're in love with somebody, you don't like, especially when you first meet somebody, you're not seeing the signs, and that's why I said, "Oh my god," because I saw PKL's comment where he said people were saying that Johnny should have been aware of her. It's like, no, that's not how abusive. They're not their full self. You don't get, like, when you meet somebody, your whole goal is to impress them. The honeymoon phase.
I keep forgetting what the word was. Like ultraviolet, no, that wasn't ultraviolet. It was some kind of colored lenses, like rose colored glasses. Yeah, like that. Right. That's what I think he was basically in, that mindset when you're in love and such, and that's totally understandable, especially in the case of like, because it not only was my dad, he was also abused himself. That's why I kind of really cling to this. Goodness. Like I was trying to wait till everything was over so I could watch it, because it's hard for me to actually look into it. And for many years he couldn't really talk about it because this was years after, you know, joining the group, but then he left, and then, you know, it abuse, and it's easy to see those signs when you're used to seeing those signs, unfortunately, for myself.
Well,
it's really
Well,
weird.
the thing is, when you first meet somebody, the whole goal is you're trying to impress that person. So you're not going to be your true self. You're gonna cater to that person's you're trying to appeal to that person. So you're gonna be sweet, you're gonna be nice, and then once you get like past that honeymoon phase, past that little hump, then you start being a little bit more relaxed. You start being a little bit more yourself. Then you're in. Right, you're fully in. Now you just are 100% yourself, no holding back, and that's what Amber did. Because again, when she got married to him, she got to the point of marriage. She got that ring. They got the paperwork signed. She's like, boom! Now the mask is off. Now I can just take my shoes off and just make myself right at home. And that's
Or
what
his
she
boots.
did. Right,
Yeah.
and for Johnny, because she was so sweet with him to the point he wanted to marry her. Of course he wasn't going to see the signs. And even after that point, it was too late. He still was in love with her. And he just kept saying, well, we could fix this. And he loved her so much. Listen, love makes you put up with bullshit. Like, love makes you do crazy things. And you have a high tolerance when it comes to love. So I can't blame Johnny for sticking out with it. I mean, it's normal. It's normal when you're in love with somebody.
And reading between the lines, it sounds like his marriage was already sort of on fumes, and so he was probably lonely. But I mean, I will say, as well, as somebody who, had male friends who were abused, you don't say anything after the first few times, because you realize that whenever you rock the boat, the abuser loses it and takes it out on your friend. And I don't think it's fair to say, the friend should have done something, because that's part of the abuse. They control everybody. If they don't drive you away, they make it very clear that if you cross her, in this case, and in my case, she's going to take it out on your friend. That's the dynamic. I was in a situation where we watched abuse take place. It was in my damn dining room.
Oh my God.
There was like a group of us. We watched it happen, the sense of powerlessness. And, it was some time until I found out there was physical abuse going on. But people take their cues from the man involved, right? Because you don't want to emasculate him.
Right.
And so if he's okay with it, you got to be okay with it, because the alternative, and this is what happened in this particular case, was people started saying, well, we love you, man, but she can't come. She's a problem. And of course, that means he just stopped showing up.
Aww.
See, this is why I still stand by the whole premise of, if a woman is beating on a man has every right to knock her the fuck out. I'm so sorry.
Equal
but it's
rights, equal fights.
Equal rights. Well, and like I said,
everyone.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Get your super chat, girl.
Let me get this super chat. Then I have a couple questions for you guys. Team Amber had a game plan. Her ego derailed it all. Yeah, I would actually complete. Yeah, it was no one's fault but her own. I completely agree, Robert. So first question, Kate, is your dad doing okay now?
Yeah.
Oh, he ever since the divorce between my mom and dad, everything's been fine for the past 10 years, and eventually she went back to alcohol. No, not alcohol, but I think she got off a while ago. I don't know. I can't really remember too much. I don't pay attention.
I get it. I totally get it. I just wanted to check. But do you think when it comes to this, whole situation, it's a little bit the men in this situation? Yeah, they're in love. There's a lot of excuses like that. But do you think it's almost a small form, like a love-based form of Stockholm syndrome?
Oh, yeah. Especially when it's an older man and a younger woman, because in retrospect, they know it was fucking stupid.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
At least, know. At least in the cases I've been unfortunately directly involved with, they sort of know that they were caught at a low moment. They got lured in, they got reeled in, and they realize they're that stereotype asshole that went for somebody not that far off in age to their own daughter. And there is a shame thing. There is a, how could I be so stupid? How did I not see this coming? And then the self-punishment that men of this profile tend to engage in already starts kicking in, and part of them thinks they deserve the abuse.
I don't think it's a Stockholm syndrome, because if the definition of Stockholm syndrome, I don't think applies here. I think what it is like, this is the first time Johnny has been in like a legitimate toxic relationship like this, because he, like, his ex Kate Moss came out and said that
Yeah.
he was nothing but kind to her. I'm sure all of his exes would have probably said the same thing. Now, they broke up for whatever reasons they broke up for, but if they're still to this day saying he was never like that, he was never what she's saying, this was the first time Johnny's been in a really bad relationship, and I just don't think he knew how to handle it. I think he was trying his best to make it work as he had with his previous relationships, because what we do, what we tend to do is we tend to take our previous relationships and sometimes apply it to the next one. I think that's what Johnny was doing. So I don't think it was a Stockholm syndrome. I think this was just the first time this happened to him, and he was just trying to do what, what I would think is normal, which is try to make a relationship work, to try to change her, to make her see, that, they could work on this, because he stuck through it and dealt with it and bared it. But I think that's what it was.
I can agree with that. That makes a lot of sense. I don't really think he was trying to look for like too many, not too many positives, because I think that's what goes on with Stockholm syndrome. Like, if I remember my definition on Google, but okay, I think he was just trying to balance everything out, because it's like, it's one of those things where you're just like, okay, let's balance things out. Let's try and make it livable, but I think she was just, looking for a huge fight so she could become the victim of like every fucking thing you can think of. Like, oh, John ate my sandwich. Oh, John ate my sandwich.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Just like,
Yeah.
oh, sorry. I think it's fuck.
No, you're okay.
Damn.
You're fine. I wanted to ask you guys too. So there was this whole, when not Walter Hamada, it was before the Walter Hamada stuff, Amber had hired this specialist, the social media specialist, right? My chat found her website very quickly, and it was just entertainmentexpert.com. Like, it was, she's the most like pay for whatever kind of service you need person. And she came out and she compared Amber Heard's star power to that of Zendaya,
Jason Momoa,
Gal Gadot, like
Gal Gadot, like what? Yeah,
like Carrie, do you think that was a fair? I can't even say it straight. I can't even say it straight.
Okay,
I swear, I think that they hire these people and then tell them, this is what I want you to say, and just make it look good.
Yes.
do you want to know what actually happens with these paid experts?
Of
in
course.
cases? They'll say, I'll come in, this is what I will tell them. I will not lie, and I am, I'm not on your team, I'm just there to present findings. And you saw that with the hand surgeon they brought on, a couple of the other experts for Amber Heard. They, when on Cross, they were asked a different set of questions, and the questions were reframed in a different way. They just kind of shrugged and totally changed their tune, because they get paid whether they win or not. They're just taking the money. They don't care about the outcome. They don't care about Amber Heard. It's just, this is a payday. This is LA. This is Hollywood. People make a lot of money with this stuff. Here's my day rate. You want me to testify? All right, fine.
Yeah, but they also had Johnny Depp's team had that Richard Marx on there, and he was talking about all the different deals that he had made. Like, this guy had legit credit and clout to his name. And, he had done deals with these people, that people, and he was saying, no, these are star roles that you're trying to compare to. And when you look at Amber's, that Aquaman was supposed to be her make her a star moment, right? But even that didn't do her a whole lot of justice. I'm not saying she was terrible, but it didn't get her like what she wanted. And they're trying to blame Johnny for this, but how is this Johnny's fault when she's the one that came out with the op-ed looking back to 2018? You see what I'm saying? Like, it makes no sense. There's so many different inconsistencies.
It's like they were trying to blame the divorce thing on why her career didn't take off. not on her
Oh
talent.
my goodness,
And
though.
it
Well,
was stupid.
Her career didn't take off because she sucks.
Thank you.
Well, if
Yeah.
the truth
Precisely.
is that she only got Aquaman based on Johnny Depp's testimony because she was married to him, then of course the work's going to dry up when she's no longer married to him.
Right.
Right.
Right. But that's not because of defamation. I guarantee she wouldn't say he cost her work because her ego couldn't handle it unless she wanted and unless she was countersuing him. I mean,
Right.
that's all a manufactured thing due to countersuit. One of the things that has bothered me about this from the beginning, and I haven't heard very many people talking about it, is the fact that she signed a joint statement and an NDA.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
know, oh, it was love, it was passionate, but neither of us had any malice. She signed that, and then she tried to get around it slippery wise to do the ACLU thing. And the fact that there were those emails back and forth trying to get around that NDA
Isn't
that was
that
part of the
proof
divorce
enough?
settlement. Of malice? What I mean,
Yeah.
that's what the jury's gonna have to decide. That's why I think there was no way that was just for the cause, right? I don't think the timing has to do with maximizing the hurt for him. It was the ACLU wanting to maximize publicity because of Aquaman, but her participation in it, I don't know how you say it's not malicious based on her previous statements. But more importantly, well, I guess malice is very important, but equally importantly, was she lying then or is she lying now? She's the one that's making, well, I guess you could claim that he also said nobody abused anybody, but he's not the one that ripped the Band-Aid off on this, right? She's the one that went, I was a victim of domestic abuse. Which is it? You know, the minute she did that, I was like, which statement is the accurate one? And that's over and over again, like, oh, she was going to pledge all this money, but then he sued her. Well, there was like a year gap, 13-month gap between when she got paid and when he sued her. So what the heck? You know? And the one thing I found Johnny Depp less than credible on is his understanding of his own addiction. But that's a disconnect with the truth that I don't think affects the rest of his testimony. He's just in denial about having a problem, right?
Right. A lot of people are.
Yeah, that's where you get into the addict's lie thing, which is hurting him, unfortunately, because the nuance isn't understood. On her hand, her lies are central to her credibility because she's lying about things she didn't need to lie about. She lied about donating the money so it didn't seem like a cash in, because that was the theory at the time. She was accusing him of abuse to get more money out of the divorce. So she said she donated the money to prove that she wasn't making the accusation to get millions and millions of dollars out of him. There was a purpose for that lie at the time that seems to have gotten lost in this whole thing. And that concerns me.
Let me get the super chat real quick. Everywhere community, thank you so much. My book on dealing with toxic people reads, you, all including Johnny, deserve to be treated with respect, honor, and dignity at all times by all people. Yes, absolutely. And treat people like you want to be treated, because you're not going to get very far if you don't. You're just not. The whole ACLU thing kind of fucks with my head, because when I think of, years ago, and when I thought of the ACLU, you know, the human rights organization, the organization that's there to help, the organization that's supposed to be good, but they were literally colluding with her. Now, if they believed her, that's something a little bit different, right? Because they didn't see it as malice because they thought they were just telling the truth, which probably, to be fair, they probably did believe her. She didn't, you know, she's not going to come out and be like, yeah, I don't know, I actually hit him. Like, it's just not going to happen. But the fact that they were so willing to collude with someone says a lot about the ACLU alone. Like, it's pretty fucked up in the scheme of things. And the ACLU has gone downhill so much in the last 10 years.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm sure it will hurt their reputation what came out. And unfortunately, it's not that uncommon with the relationships between high profile charities and celebrities. There's entire agencies that match celebrities with causes for mutual benefit, but it is all about attention. We saw how the sausage is made. It's gross. Unfortunately, I mean, that level that they're actually trying to figure out a way around an NDA, I can kind of understand the ACLU and having a low opinion of NDAs in general because of how they're used to muzzle people. However, it looks bad. It isn't that far outside the realm of normal in Hollywood. That doesn't make it moral. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Like, just like a legality does not equal morality, but we're still in a situation, where it does sometimes, or stuff is legal that's not moral. But I was just flabbergasted. This whole ACLU, her donating the money, was nearly everything that the UK judge said. That was a big reason. A gold digger wouldn't do this. A gold digger wouldn't do this. Now looking back, they didn't go, like, it boggles my mind. Why did Johnny not have this evidence in the UK? Did it take time? What happened?
There actually is a reason for that, because he wasn't suing Amber Heard. He was suing the publication.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
makes sense.
that was the strategic error then, because whether or not she was telling the truth didn't matter. What mattered is that the media company did due diligence on the piece. It was therefore not malicious from the perspective of the newspaper. Was it the Daily Mail? I don't remember.
It was the Sun.
It was the Sun. Okay. From the perspective of the Sun, they did due diligence. It was reasonable to go, well, if she was a gold digger and doing it for this reason, she wouldn't have donated the money. All right. From the newspaper's perspective, what they said, while damaging to him, was in the public interest and not malicious. That was the issue there.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense. But also that leads to another question. Why is he not suing the Washington Post?
Well, the reason it's in Virginia is because the Post published in Virginia. However, I think they're not making the same mistake they made in the first trial, because if they sue the Washington Post, it's going to be the same result. The paper did its due diligence. They couldn't mind read mistakes happen. It wasn't malicious, end of story. The only maliciousness, if someone is lying, the only truly defamatory content is on behalf of Amber Heard.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, that makes sense. But I don't know. I find these trials like this, don't get me wrong, it's interesting to be able to learn from all of the people involved and everything else. But I find a lot of it is not necessarily for that win. I think a lot of what Johnny was doing was getting public, like, he already had public favor, but this thing exploded. And now he's got that favor. So I'm going to pass this off to you, Bianca, because you're super quiet. Are movie companies going to be more willing, now that public favor is in his court, so to speak, even if he loses?
I think so. But I did find that this trial is very interesting than the last one, because for the last one, the judge had the final say, but in this one, it's the jury that has the final say. So from what they're seeing, the jury could, I don't know, maybe possibly be like, okay, we'll be in favor of Johnny.
Yeah, you know what? I would have been so mad on that last day if I was one of the alternates and went through all this. I'm not going to lie. I would have been pissed. Like, I just watched 6 weeks of the Johnny Depp show, but I gotta go home now. Fuck you. I'm not kidding. I would have been so mad. Like,
Come on.
I mean,
those alternate jurors can write books and not be responsible for the outcome. They're
That's
sitting
That's
pretty.
true. That's
They're
true.
like the number 2 contestant on American Idol, right? Not locked into the contract, all the exposure.
yeah, that's very true. But the funny thing is, this was a new thing for me. Like, I found it hilarious that Elaine kept getting upset and bringing up that umbrella guy. Like, you're really
The
that
umbrella man.
The umbrella man. She was doing that to be disrespectful, but like, what's wrong with you? Does he haunt your dreams, honey? Like, she was really angry about the situation.
I'm telling
We
you.
also
if they
have
do a Hulu
celebrities
movie-
going in favor of Johnny Depp also, like Jason Momoa unfollowing Amber and then following Johnny Depp, which who knows, maybe more actors are gonna who's worked with Amber may have the same whatever, because if she still gets hired in movies, actors, male or female, may not want to be able to continue working if she's hired.
Well, if you look up Beetlejuice 2 right now, it has Johnny on the IMDb thing.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, see, I think it's gonna take him a bit of time to get jobs again, because Hollywood's gonna wait and see. But he's come back before. I mean, after he, again, I'm really showing my age here. When he went through his first round of sort of bad boy behavior and got kicked off 21 Jump Street by pretending to be crazy and was trashing hotel
I didn't even
rooms
know
with
that
Winona
happened.
Ryder. Oh yeah, he's had a long history of eccentric behavior. He basically he couldn't get out of his contract, so he started like smearing his face in peanut butter and things like that to get fired, because he didn't want to be on 21 Jump Street anymore. And so, much like Michael Keaton after he left the Batman franchise, nobody wanted, like, he did these odd little cult films like
Lightning killed his parents.
Yeah. And that's how the Tim Burton collaboration started, is he could only get hired doing weird shit. And then there was another movie he did, but I forget, he was like booed at Cannes and he fell out of favor again. He keeps building himself back up because he's such a good character actor, but he's got that leading man pull. So he would have been back no matter what with time. I mean, Louis C.K. won a Grammy, Mel Gibson's working again, you know, Kevin Spacey stuck his head up briefly before this and sit your ass back down, son. I mean, he got charged with multiple counts of sexual assault during this whole thing, and there's barely a fucking peep. It's so weird. But people do come back. This, I think, was what Johnny Depp is saying. It's for his kids. He's not living under this cloud anymore. I mean, people come back from stuff like this. I think I've said this before. Nobody remembers that Rob Lowe like banged a 16-year-old at the DNC years ago. He's now like Mr. Good Dad with cool guy hair on a major network drama now, right?
Yeah. Wait, is that guy from Parks and Recreation?
Yeah.
That is literally my favorite character.
Oh no.
Yeah, look it up. It was a huge sex tape scandal back in the day.
No.
I know, like, if you look up like old rock stars, I think it was Steven Tyler did some weird shit too. Like,
well, that's where Liv Tyler came from, and I'm good with that. For selfish reasons, I am good with that.
I love Liv Tyler.
but I mean, yeah, people come back from it. This is strictly personal for him, I think.
I agree, but I think this question is more for you. Yeah, I'm gonna pick your brain, Liana.
Okay.
Why didn't Johnny go after Amber for breaking the NDA?
Because it would have confirmed that he's abusive and malicious in the minds of the public. NDAs, once somebody breaks it, it's very, very hard to go after somebody and win the PR war if they break an NDA. NDAs get broken all the time, and this is where I put on my game designer hat. Everybody knows that if somebody breaks an NDA, it's very unlikely you're going to go after them because the genie's out of the bottle. It's not worth the money, right? It's just making them hesitate even a little bit. That is usually the purpose of an NDA. Now, that whole thing got changed in the Trump era, right? When they went after people tooth and nail, the whole Stormy Daniels thing, it became this, big thing. But NDAs are normally not enforced just because you're going to spend all this money and it's not going to do any good. If he didn't do it, it enforces her claims. If he did do it, it makes it clear that he's, it makes him seem like a bully is the short version. So hopefully that answers the question. No,
you're right. I think he did go about this the correct way. I don't think there was ever a chance in the UK for one. It's a different court system than what we have here, and I don't know I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a lawyer. I never claimed to be one. I just, yell at the computer screen. But when it comes to UK, it's so different. And the judge actually had weird ties to Rupert Murdoch and Amber Heard. He was never going to win there. But when it comes to this trial, I think it was you that said it, Carrie, earlier. Having the jury it could make all the difference.
Yeah, and I mean, sitting there listening to her kind of contradict herself in her own testimony over and over again, and her constantly staring at them.
I'm not gonna lie, I love it. I loved it. So that TMZ guy went on, right?
Yeah.
And then they asked her about the video. And she said, if I would have leaked it, I would have known better ways to do it. And she had just testified a few days before that she doesn't even know how to do something like that. Those little grabs were so good. They were like screaming at the screen, like, yes, you fucking got her.
When Camille got her also on the writing the op, when she was saying something like, she goes, well, the op was about him, something like that, and
yes, it was
smile
so
at
good.
Camille. I was like, yes.
Did you guys hear? I released a short on it about a week ago. So Doofenshmirtz, the crazy guy, I think his name is Smeagol. Yeah, I think his name is Smeagol. But there was an audio clip
stroking his chin.
No, it's not Spiegel. Something like that. Crazy guy with the weird mouth. Yeah, him.
Yeah, Dr. Evil.
What?
He did not realize that his mic was on, and there's kind of a divide on what he says. But if you go to the original, you can go to the original video and look at it. It's in my shorts playlist. But he didn't know his mic was on. Elaine had her mic on also, but it wasn't as loud. And he literally goes, I'm going to lie for you on the stand. Is there anything I shouldn't lie about?
That's it. Everybody's going to jail. You promised on the Bible. Wait, did
Thank
they
you,
promise on the
Ominous.
Bible?
I didn't know his name. Like, who is that?
I've never heard of that.
Who is that open about it?
Okay, that guy was I don't. This is a high bar for me to say that. That guy was an idiot. It is so unethical to tentatively diagnose someone you have never met.
And they did it over and over again.
Yeah. At least the other two doctors, like I know Dr. Hughes took a ton of heat for her testimony, but at least she spent something like 29 hours with Amber Heard.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so an update on that psychiatrist, though, apparently the new news is like people have bombarded Google review, like all of the reviews, and gave them 1 star.
Don't do that shit.
They've apparently cleaned up her WebMD profile because, that wasn't cool.
No, that's not cool. If you're gonna do that, you've got to do the exact same thing to Curry. That you just hypocritical. Don't do that.
No, don't tell them to attack Curry. No,
I'm just saying.
Well, but Amber Heard's team went after Dr. Curry by bringing up that red herring board certified psychologist nonsense. Very, very few psychologists are board certified. It doesn't mean anything. That made me angry.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was unfairly discrediting her. That was playing on the public's ignorance. Yes,
and it even looking at it myself, I was like, ooh. And then I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like it was a nothing burger. But you're right. Most people in the public don't know that, and it's gonna make people question it. I think Dr. Curry, though, did a good job. Like, when she was on the stand, we were talking in my live chat. Like, she is the real life Harley Quinn before crazy. Like, I fucking loved her.
That.
I loved her. She did such a good job. And she was like, again, back to that point of a lot of Johnny's people on the stand felt, I don't know what it was, but, and it's not my bias because I know I'm not, I maybe, but felt more human, felt more real, felt like they are actually trying to convey a story and not a narrative. You know what I mean?
Well, because the narrative's not on their side. That absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it worked to his benefit, but also his lady lawyer did such a good his lady lawyer. That's probably not the PC thing to say. Camille Vasquez. I've seen so many people like crushing on her, not gonna lie. I love her. I love her new lady crush. And already doing like memes with her face being over Ambrose and Aquaman or
Those
like
are
real life
pretty.
She-Hulk.
Those are pretty good photoshops too. I saw those today.
They're people are amazing at these skills. I'm like, can you teach me, please? Please.
Yeah, that was a pretty impressive photo manip with the I'm like, where's the edge? This is well done.
I love it. I love it though.
I mean, they knew what the assignment was, right? To use the cliche.
Right.
They knew what they were getting into. I think that, I mean, they're clearly excellent litigators and they clearly had a strategy. And I think you saw the morale shift during the trial. They went in there to put on a good show. They didn't go there expecting to win. They knew the bar was high. Whereas Amber Heard's team went in and they thought they had they thought they had the high ground, and then things just started falling apart and falling apart and falling apart, and more they seemed unsure, unsteady, not really. I mean, I swear a lot of this stuff was to appease their client, not sound legal strategy. Because Elaine, what's her last name? Brenhoff or something like that.
Yes,
but her clothes was a mess.
I am not Gilbert Gottfried. I am not Gilbert Gottfried.
Gilbert Gottfried talks like this. I knew Gilbert Gottfried. Gilbert Gottfried did not talk about Preston. And when Gilbert talked like normally, I highly recommend the Gilbert Gottfried documentary because that was him. And he'd be just like total quiet, like yeah. And then the light would go on and the cameras would go, let me tell you about the aristocrats.
Oh my
God. Gilbert was a wonderful, wonderful man. Rest in peace, Gilbert. I just had to.
He was great. That's funny.
Yeah, he's great.
So what do you guys think about I'm gonna pose this off to you, Bianca. When it comes to Amber's now a mom. She's been I think her baby is about a year old. And I actually Jay sent me something, J Dubs in the chat sent me something about earlier in my email about Elon could possibly be the biological daughter, or Una could be the biological daughter. Wow, that got weird real quick. I apologize. But like, there's a cycle here, right? We're not stupid. We know that abuse goes in cycles unless you end it yourself. Is there any is there anything to worry about, Bianca?
Everything.
Obviously, opinions
worry about everything.
No, I mean with that, he had embryos, and it was just a weird fucking situation. Elon's a weird dude anyway, not gonna lie. Like, again, just the strangest guy ever. But I don't know. When this first came out that she had a baby, I was like, oh my God, look at the baby. It's so cute. Like, babies are my kryptonite. And everyone was like, oh my God, how dare you? You're not allowed to like this. Like, I'm like,
allowed to say a baby is cute?
No, it was just like, because that's my kryptonite, right? So.
And I'm not allowed to not like babies and, be considered a sane person.
That is very true, apparently. I have friends that the whole child-free thing makes them Satan. But I admit, oh yeah, it's a very weird thing. I admit I'm scared for that child, and I am very, very hesitant to talk about things involving minors. But in this case, you know, the timing is sus. And they're with, again, the tentative diagnoses floating on this one. That baby could be a prop. And what happens when, you know, the prop is not useful anymore?
It's
Oh
Casey.
my
What was that? What was that thing? Was it Casey Anthony? Probably not.
Joan Crawford.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting comparison. No Wire
I don't know who
Hangers
that
another,
is.
another
Me neither.
reference that
Wait.
She was an actress.
Yeah. Yeah, who was apparently very abusive to her children.
Oh.
The only one I know was the one I mentioned. I think that's her name, though. It was that mother who was like, "Oh, I had a party and their kid drowned in the pool or something like that."
I
Was that
remember
Casey
the name
Anthony?
Casey Anthony, but I don't. I think she killed her kid, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's about it. If I remember.
Oh goodness! But yes, there is like, it does. The timing was sus, like very. But
I'm just kidding.
the thing that worries me is the abuse cycle, and if she's able to do that, what she's done in this most malicious way to a man, I understand a baby is very different. And again, it's a little uncomfortable talking about somebody's child, but it had it happened at any other time, had it been in a different situation, I would be a little bit more forgiving when it come to that. But the only thing I can say is positive about it is I don't see her, and now again, I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know. But I don't see her using the baby like in a bunch of posts and stuff like that. So that's really good. Like that gives me a little bit of like mindset, like, okay, she maybe isn't using this child. But Kate James did testify in the UK that Amber would always take the little boy or her son and make, cookies and take pictures and go, Johnny, look at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if she's doing that before, she has used a baby for photo ops. See, I'm dumb.
Didn't she reference the baby and why she wanted to be left alone now?
Yes, she did.
Yes, because somebody said about putting her baby in a microwave. If you ever said that, fuck you. Like, don't ever say stuff like that.
So who's taking care of the child while she's on trial? A nanny or a
Probably
family
some
member?
nanny.
Yeah.
I hope
Probably
she's treating that nanny well.
Yeah, I don't know about that. There's just some people you don't trust. There's just some people that you get that like Kevin Spacey's another one. Whenever I think it was American Beauty, I want to say, is that the right movie? Yeah. When I seen him, I'm like, oh, he's creepy. I know he's supposed to be in this movie, but he's creepy anyway. You just get that vibe from people.
Did you get that from James Franco?
No, actually, I always thought he was. I didn't. I always thought he was funny because I like Seth Rogen generally. I love like 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up. So like, I never got that vibe from him. But like, you get it from Amber. You get it from people like Kevin Spacey, and it's like, I don't know. When it comes to this, it's a little worrisome. It's none of our business technically, but we're only speculating here, not actually.
But we're speculating out of concern.
And you know what's okay? If it does come out, and again, none of our business, but if it does come out that it's Elon's baby, I think it's gonna break some people's heart. I'm not even kidding. Like, there's a lot of hate for Amber Heard, and weirdly, a lot of love for Elon Musk. But if they like made this baby contraption together, people are just going to be devastated. Like, people were devastated when he said he was for gun control, let alone having a baby with, the she-devil. Saggy, are you still there?
No.
Did we lose Saggy?
Nah,
no, I'm out. My mic was muted the whole time.
I was like, what are you doing?
My mic was muted. I was talking. I was muted. I was like, damn, I'm being hardcore ignored right now. No, I was looking at Amber Heard's Twitter And I was looking at the last post she posted on her Twitter, and all of the people supporting her. I'm like, man, I wonder how they're gonna feel when she loses.
Well,
Saggy, you shouldn't feel bad. That happened to me today multiple times and during this stream. I kept forgetting I was muted.
Oh, boy.
Oh yeah, that happens. Well, I have a new microphone, and I can tap it to mute it, like the mic itself, not like mute it here. So I tap it, and it goes off, and I forgot to untap it.
You mean
Speaking
just
of Twitter,
untap it?
Bianca told me about your tweet earlier, or Liana's tweet earlier. So I looked it up, and I was dying. Like, the fact that Texas is trying to regulate dildos and not guns blows my mind.
We're jumping to this. No, they are regulating dildos. It's a law.
Oh, God.
Like, are they afraid people are going to start hitting each other?
That was a hilarious. It's obscene objects. And the argument is if somebody has more than 6 obscene objects, they're clearly selling them. Therefore, and the conversation was just hilarious because it was like, okay, is this like the grocery store express line thing where is it one of each? So if you have like a butt plug and anal beads and a dildo and a vibrator and various rings and you know, perhaps a ball gag, is that your 6, or do you have to have 6 of any one item?
Oh my God. What is wrong with Texas and Florida? No offense, Bianca, but holy crap.
Did you see my tweet? Because Ted Cruz is one of the people connected to it. Because of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of course he is.
So I said, doesn't Ted Cruz know that the solution to bad guys with dildos is a good guy with a dildo? Why does Ted Cruz not want to be a good man with a dildo?
Oh my God, that's hilarious. The good guys with guns fucking thing just gets me every time. Oh, Ted Cruz is a mess. I feel like we should have an intervention.
Ted Cruz trips my gaydar and I can't help it.
I don't think Florida is that bad.
You know who else trips my gaydar was Madison Cawthorn. And I was kind of right about that.
You were way right about that. You were way right about that.
Ted Cruz trips my gaydar, and it is very weird with all the gent doth protest too much methinks going on here, right? It
Yes.
says, why is anybody so fist I censored myself so hard there. Oh my God. Oh, I'm not even going to repeat what went through my mind. Not gonna. It's just too dark. Even I have a line.
even we met Liana's limit.
Finally, how many streams we have finally found my line?
But I was so entertained by that idea. It was hilarious because it's like, that's what you're worried about right now? Do you know what's going on in the world? Like, yeah, I kind of see the gaydar thing, and I saw it with Nick Fuentes too, and then he got caught watching trans fuckboy stuff.
Oh wow!
And I'm just which made me like him more. Just saying, that didn't take much.
The funny thing is like, it's okay, buddy. Just come out. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody cares. Chill out. Oh, and then he started saying some crazy shit like, don't touch a girl. It makes you more straight if you're not with girls. I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I can't take this world seriously. Oh, but at least we have the dildo violence.
It is sort of a distraction tactic, though, isn't it? Like, beat up on a bunch of people they know can't fight back because they either rush these bills through or there just isn't the critical mass of resistance. Make fundraising bucks. Hope the bill is overturned in the courts because it's badly written. Go through the cycle again, claiming oppression. It's a playbook at this point. And when you get these celebrity trials, when you get these sensational, you know, she shit in his bed, and I think, was it Chris Rock nailed it? She's hot. She's not shit in the bed hot. That's sort of the pulse
crazy
of the
hotline.
Yeah, the crazy hotline. Or what is it called? The crazy hot ratio, or
I don't know, but I love How I Met Your Mother. So
yeah, I don't remember what How You Met Your Mother called it, but people can get their heads around the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing.
Right.
some of the other stuff going on in the world right now is so huge and people feel like they can't do anything about it. And no, not Ted Cruz's personal dildo huge, but still pretty big. It's only one, okay? It's only one. It's legal. But, you know, everything else we can't control it. You know, kids getting killed and all these, you know, pulling back of gay and trans rights and all that. We can't do anything about it. But we can watch court TV and possibly buy a ticket to the next movie Johnny Depp gets, right? And I think that or you know, the Amber Heard stands support her in whatever she does next. I think that's part of why it got so big, because it's something people feel they can actually do fuck all about.
Yeah, I actually get that, because it's nice to. So the whole situation that happened, the school shooting, I have only been able to take it in digestible small bites, because every time I read more about it, I bawl my eyes out.
Yeah,
I can't take it.
Yeah,
I was watching a video the other day and all they did was flash a picture of a kid and I was done. Right? I can't deal with it. But I can deal with the situation of Johnny Depp. I can deal with what's going on. And not only can I deal with it, it takes me out of that bad place where other stuff does. So I get it. It's a good distraction for a lot of bullshit that's going on. And honestly, it's, how do I say this without sounding crude? It's sometimes what you need, right? Sometimes escaping the real world. And that's why I love, and that brings me back to my love for comic books, or Carrie's love for anime. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes that's the best thing you can do, because the real world fucking sucks. I'm just gonna be honest.
What about my love
about
for
it.
anime?
Yes, and your
you.
love. Yes, your love for anime and webtoons.
Manga.
I love webtoons
and manga,
lately.
and that Chinese anime is coming out too, boy.
Oh, Bianca, I have an anime question for you.
Okay.
Is Freak Angels technically anime?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because it's originally in English, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually it's something like that is still considered a discussion. Like, people still discuss if Avatar: The Last Airbender is
right.
Sometimes I'm like, maybe it's like anime inspired, which is the new word right now. Wait, what was the name? It was something Angels, right?
Freak Angels, yeah.
What about Super Crooks? Is that anime? Because it's American made. I mean,
I think that falls into the same category, because it's like,
I think
it's
so.
American made. Yeah.
Pretty sure.
At least they draw black people pretty good.
Yeah, that doesn't always happen, does it?
No.
No, for sure. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I keep seeing the ads for Freak Angels on Crunchyroll, and every time, you know, one of them speaks English and the lips match, I'm like, is this really anime? Because it's a Crunchyroll original, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I like it, Crunchyroll originals. They're always like a hit and a miss. Like, there was they tried to make their own CGI one. It was really freaking bad. Oh my gosh.
Was that High Guardian Spice?
No. Different.
I heard stuff about that one though. Oh my goodness.
It's pretty bland.
Yeah.
Animation made in Japan? No. Animation anime is short for animation. In Japan, anything is anime because, like I said, it's short for animation. How you say it in the, with the Japanese accent, animation. And so Shrek is an anime to them, okay? Everything is anime to them.
But
yes, because it's short for animation. It's not specifically in Japan.
Okay, that makes sense.
But Studio Ghibli doesn't like being called anime, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, Miyazaki, he doesn't like anime in general, and he wants to keep himself separate.
Right, because he believes anime is like lowbrow and sort of a pejorative, and he goes out of his way to make it non-anime style with the smaller eyes and stuff like that, right?
Correct. So some people like calling it what Elon Musk writes Japanimation. X-Arm is what that CGI
Mhm.
like whatever that thing was. Oh gosh, it was so bad. It was so ugly. It's vomit. And the 80s it was called Japanimation, right?
Yeah.
They did do that.
Yeah, I'm
I
old
feel like
enough to have called it that, and people were like, "It's anime." I'm like, "Whoa, Astro Boy is anime now? What?" I was so confused.
so yeah, it's just us. Like we're changing all their crap and all their definitions, and then it spreads, and then everybody spreads misinformation, and so they only know the misinformation until somebody corrects them. Like I had to learn this from a person who's freaking half Japanese. He's like, yeah,
Mhm.
so that's not what it is, and I'm like, oh, thank you, because I learned this since I was like a kid, and to learn in my 20s that that's wrong. Like people are like, do you know that hentai is like anime porn? And it's not. It's the language, and it means you're rather weird or a pervert depending on the context. But we just took that and it's like, oh yes, for us it is now animated porn.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I did say mud. Yeah. I mean, it probably fell off when I was saying it or something, but I did say mud. I didn't say Elon Musk. Don't worry.
But we did talk about him. He's
Yes.
a weirdo.
Mhm.
Yeah, I see with anime. It's I'm like every question I have, I'm like Bianca. I'm sorry, but like because I'm as far as I know, this is totally off topic, but like it's not near as interesting to me. Like it's kind of boring, but um, that's not actually why I started talking about it. I meant because it's as weird as it is. Like I don't want to make it sounds so terrible making someone else's life about our escapism. But in a way, could they have prevented the did they opt in for the coverage? Does anyone know?
I
You
think
mean
they
like
knew it was going to be a thing. Like this was part of the strategy. I
I,
mean, that there's a reason they televised it.
yeah, and I get it. I get it. It helps a lot. But like it sounds terrible, but it is kind of a way to escape from the world around us. It is kind of a way to look. And there was this Carrie brought it to my attention. This weird like narrative kind of latching on where people are like, I don't care about this dude. I don't care that he was abused because he's some rich asshole. Like, we fucking lost our humanity to a point.
yeah.
Oh, but that goes back. I mean, there have been trials of the century going back to the last 2 centuries, right? It does become sort of surreal. I mean, going back to people like Fatty Arbuckle. Does anybody know who Fatty Arbuckle
No,
was?
I was gonna
No,
say
no,
who's
yeah.
that?
Yeah. He was a guy. He was a silent film star, I believe, but he had this persona as this sort of sweet, silly kind of man child type character, and he had some kinky sex with a woman, and she ended up dying, and he was accused of her murder, and it was this big sensational thing. There was another, I believe her name was Evelyn Nesbit, who killed her husband, and she went on the music parlor review scene after the whole thing. There's always been these sort of sensational trials going back. Patty Hearst, was that another one?
Yeah.
Every so often, and it does sort of coincide with really tough times,
Yeah.
and it's sort of like, I don't know, it's celebrity worship meets Schadenfreude with just, we need a distraction,
Yeah.
right? And because I think at least he is very famous, there is sort of
And
this,
charismatic.
yeah, there is. I mean, they're styling him very deliberately,
Oh yeah.
right? They're not putting him in gray suits with monochrome ties. They're making him, he's wearing the tinted glasses and all that stuff. They have the little alpaca stuffy in the
Yeah.
courtroom, like that. They know what they're doing. They know who the actual jury is. They're not stupid. They all have hair and makeup. I'm pretty sure even Ben Chu has powder and concealer. Not the concealer that they allegedly used to cover up bruises, but
Amica
concealer.
cream too. Don't forget the Amica cream.
Mhm.
Or
I see
arnica.
Robert has a question for us.
Oh, okay. Let me see here. Robert, thank you so much for the question. For all you ladies, sub versus dub. We'll start there. What about you, Kate? What do you think?
Oh my goodness. Wait, sub and versus dub. Oh my god. That is always hard for me because it's just like I usually try and listen to the dub first and then I go to the sub because I wanted to see how, the lip movements work with the original actors it intended to use. And
That must be
I can
hard.
notice a huge difference. So
We
I
are
was like,
talking about anime and not BDSM, right? This conversation is not.
Yeah.
Because I admit I almost answered totally wrong.
Oh my god. Well, that was a thing.
My answer is sub all the way.
My answer is dub. I've only watched one sub. Wait. Yeah. And that was a silent voice. I did really like it, but I still I don't know if it's the laziness in me or what, or not being able to pay attention. I gotta be able to hear that shit too.
I just want the natural. I want the original performances.
Yes.
Because first of all, as you know, they chase cheap, right? In the Western dubs, it's all get it as quick as possible, so we have to pay as little money for this as possible. So I mean, some of the sub translations are not great, but I do prefer the original performances with the cadences of the language and not these like weird halting pauses because they're trying to fill it with the dialogue. It's just
I haven't heard that in a long time. They've definitely gotten better with the pauses.
I tried to watch. I think I tried to watch Death Note in a dub, and
That's
couldn't do
the 2000s.
Yeah, I
That's
couldn't.
completely different.
I
I watched it in dub.
I think I
loved
tried Doro Hidoro in a dub and couldn't.
Doro Hidoro.
Yeah, I went back to subtitles. I couldn't. I can't do dubs. I know it makes me weird.
Yeah, it's like hit or
Oh,
miss
but Alex
too,
is
voice
so
acting.
good.
I can't.
What about you, Carrie?
I prefer sub for different reasons. Like I was just saying, sometimes the voice actors in a dub don't seem to work right with the character. Another reason is I know that they tend to sometimes really change the dialogue a lot with the dubs. So then when you're like looking at the subtitles going, but that's not what came off in the dub. That makes more sense.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
no, I
prefer sub.
actually noticed that in a silent voice. I was asking Bianca because we did a video on it, and it would say something, and when, because it had two different sets of sub on it, and it would, be two different things, and I'm like, which one are you fucking... I was so confused, but you know what? I'm new to it, so I get a little bit of slack. What about you, Saggy? Are you there?
What happened? I've been missing everything.
I said sub versus dub.
Yeah, I knew she was tuned out when she didn't chime in on the BDSM stuff.
Yeah, I was wondering.
I was eating sushi.
Sushi's delicious.
Is that a euphemism?
No, I need a poke bowl. I'm like, I'm hungry. I got some Uber. I'm listening. I'm just taking everything in, including my food, and I was just listening.
Sub versus dub.
Wait, what? Wait, what did I miss? Okay, hold on. Question for all you ladies. Okay. I'm answering this question.
Yes.
It depends on the anime.
Yeah.
Because so for example, Attack on Titan's first dub when it was on Netflix was trash because it was so fast that I couldn't read everything. So I actually had to stop watching till they dubbed it because I'm like, unless I was just pausing, because I couldn't do it. Like I'm trying to watch the show and read the subtitles, but the subtitles were too quick that I was missing either a sentence or an action sequence. I couldn't do both, so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait till they dub the rest of it, and I'm just gonna watch it dubbed from here on out. I just couldn't do it.
Does it feel like dubs these days have lost their spark compared to the 2000s?
I didn't even answer my question. What the heck?
I'm sorry.
You skipped me.
Yeah, Bianca's the final word. I'm interested in what she's gonna say.
Yay! I watch both.
Okay, there we go.
So
Fair enough.
I will say that it definitely depends on who's doing the writing, the translations, and the script writing and the translations. Because depending on the person, they would want to go to the more accurate material. If not, then sometimes they will change it around, but try to keep the context still there. I'm sorry. um, so usually I try to. There's a whole thread, like groups of people who are like, okay, so here are the good ones, and then here are the ones who are crap, so I always try to follow the good ones, and then sometimes I'll watch a Japanese person and then I'm like, oh my gosh, this translation is so good. But it's also kind of hard because the people who do the subtitles don't do the subtitles correctly, and it's becoming less rare, but sometimes the dubs have a more accurate interpretation of what the Japanese people are saying instead of the actual Japanese subtitles. Because I started realizing when I was actually listening and learning the language, I'm watching Naruto and I'm looking at the subtitles and I'm like, that is not what you just said. You did not say that. That isn't accurate. And then I watched the English version of it, and the English version had that saying a lot better, and I'm like, okay, thank you. And so it's something. It's kind of weird. It became a hobby to me to learn and hear like what they're saying, the subtitles, the directing, because I'm now like judging every single character, Japanese and English, of okay, that's a good line, that's a good line, that's a bad line, what kind of emotion was that, you're fired, and that kind of thing. I have seen a lot of people say, well, I speak English, so how can I judge a Japanese person's acting? That's stupid. I can judge anybody on any language. It's not that hard. You usually use the same exact principle. I have watched so many Japanese movies when I was younger, and I'm like, yo, that movie was so crap. The bad acting and all that stuff. And sometimes I will be that person who's like, I do not think this this Japanese voice matches this specific character. I wanted a more cutesy voice, and then I see a cute character and it has a freaking deep Japanese voice, and I'm like, you do not match. And then they would say, well, the Japanese or the English is like deeper or higher than the original. Like they're like, oh, why do the teenagers sound like 40-year-old men in the English? And I'm like, I'm looking at the Japanese. How come the Japanese sounds like a 40-year-old man in Japanese? You're picking and choosing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Sometimes you can hear it, sometimes you can't. So like that's for me. For me, I like watching both because I like hearing both. Not only that, but it's harder. It's getting a little bit harder now because the Japanese language is always changing. I looked at 80s anime, 90s anime, early 2000s anime. The lip sync are all different from those eras, and it's still becoming more and more different. The Japanese used to be a little bit longer in anime, and now it's like shortening, and they're using like a lot of slang terms instead of actual words. But there are some times when they use actual real Japanese sentences and dialogue when they're speaking, but not a lot.
You know you're speaking Bianca's language when she talks the most when you talk about it. But also to add to that, Bianca, it's kind of true. Dubbing did change a little bit because like back in the day they tried to way too much Americanize the dialogue in dub. I didn't notice that back in the day they used to try to Americanize it, but they're not doing it as much as they used to back in the day.
These donuts taste great.
Right, the donuts and stuff. It's like, bro, at this point you can call it a rice cake, bro. Like even back then you could have called it a rice cake and they would have been like, well, the Asians like rice, and then you just be called a racist. So I mean, at the end of the day, you could have just called it a rice cake, and I think people would have gotten it. Instead of a jelly donut. I'm just
but it's not. It's funny because it's not like sometimes you will see edits from the USA, like, oh, they edited this thing, like say it's the rice ball thing, they change it to an actual donut, or sometimes they will change scenes. But it's not even just the USA doing that. I was watching the Dragon Ball Z movie, with the super one, the gods versus blah blah blah. So for that one, it was Lord Beerus versus like Vegeta's dad and that stuff, and there was some things that he did to him, and I'm like, yo, that's messed up. And then there was an India version. Was it India? It was a different Asian place, and that scene they completely changed. And because in that culture, having somebody bow to you was more of like a more serious thing than what was released in Japan and the USA. And I was like, that's super interesting. So sometimes I will defend a little bit of localizations, whether for like America or some other countries, because they do that not only with anime, but they do it with everything. They'll do it for different countries too. Except for kids.
Yeah,
Oh.
bowing. Yeah, that would be
the only edit in
subservient,
Dragon
not
Ball Z.
respectful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
thank
only
you.
edit in Dragon Ball that I respect is that putting underwear on little young Goku, so we didn't have to see his pee. I appreciated that. I appreciated that.
Well, they're no longer doing that in the newer films.
I could live without seeing that. That was like something that I was like, what? Why did we have to see the child? Like that was so weird. Like, I get it, it's a kid, but like, come on, that's freaking weird. I could have lived without.
Japan
seeing
really
that.
didn't care about that stuff.
It's just
like
weird, right? They didn't. They're like, here's a child, and
panty shot. Then
the West didn't care as much about that in the 70s.
That's true. We're always evolving.
Yeah,
it's just weird.
Backwards. Yeah,
it's just weird that's like I was like, I thought it was normal when I first saw Dragon Ball. They had the underwear, and I thought it looked a little off because it was like they airbrushed it on there, and it looked very off. But I was like, oh, it made sense. Like, kid running around naked, like, of course he has underwear on. Then I realized, oh, that was an edit. That was a legit edit. And I was like, okay, why Japan? Why do we have to have naked children around? We didn't need to do that.
Because kids watch it, they have to have something to relate to.
Well, didn't they?
Like, oh, Goku has a PP like me. Like, what? Like, who cares? He's got a tail. He's not a real person. Like, what the fuck? It turns into a giant gorilla thing. Like, what the hell?
Oh, Shin-chan. That was the first anime that did like a BTS reference. And I still haven't seen the anime. I just saw the clip, and I have to see that anime in English just for that BTS reference.
Wow.
I love when Bianca gets going.
Careful.
Okay, guys,
let's not talk about BTS.
I've got one more question before we wrap up. I think we should give odds what we think when it comes to this. I'm personally like, I know it's hard. It's a hard question for even me to answer. I'm 60-40, I would say, for Johnny. I don't think it's a slam dunk by any means. I think it's a very hard thing to win, but I think favor is on his side. What about you, Kate?
I can agree with that. 60-40, considering there's a lot of shit going on in the scenes. I'm just like, I'm still trying to catch up, and my mind's just going a blank, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, all this is a lot of information. What the hell?
What about you, Carrie?
I think it is in his favor. I mean, because if I was sitting there as a juror listening to some of this stuff, I'd be like, yeah, she's crazy.
Yeah, those emotions were not natural. Like, we can agree to that. That girl. Oh my goodness. Like, I thought you were an actress, honey. What happened?
You couldn't even get tears to come out.
I think I saw one tear the whole thing. Like I said, that Isaac Baruch was like legit more emotional than she ever was. What about you, Bianca? What about you, Bianca?
I'm very pessimistic, so I'm like 50-50 right now. Also, I'm sorry I talked so much we didn't get through all of the questions from Robert.
Oh no, you're totally fine. 50-50 is fair, not showing off, sitting right in the middle. Yeah, there we go. What about you, Liana?
I think it'll be a hung jury if you can do that in civil trials.
Wow, really?
Well, yeah, I mean, based on the jury analysis, a hardcore Amber sympathizer ended up in the final jury. But
I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah,
you said that there was some jury reactions. What were they generally?
More sympathetic to him than her, but there was one juror that was apparently very, Team Amber, if we're to be immature about it, and she's in there, and it's very possible that they will not be able to sway her. Hung juries are allowed in civil trials. If I had to bet, it's either that or they'll fine for one or the other, but only reward $1 in damages. I don't think anybody's coming home with millions. I would be very, very surprised just because
Yeah.
they're, you know, if I'm the jury right now, there are a couple of rich assholes and I am done. You know, it's not the same for us sitting at home. They've had to sit in court this whole time with all this lunacy.
Do you think it was ever really about the money, though, for either one of them?
No. Well, for her, yes, absolutely.
Okay, for him, rather.
No.
I don't think it was ever about that. I think if he wins $1, he will call that a victory.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the fact that they were even downgrading the ask in closing for her, I'm pretty sure her team is not getting paid unless they come away with something. And I think at the trial, they thought they had a good chance of being awarded damages. I think they're watching that evaporate. But yeah, I would not be surprised if the jury, if they don't come back tomorrow, they're going to be in there a while.
You think tomorrow?
Yeah, it's either going to be very quick or it's going to be long because somebody's
it's Memorial Day.
in.
Sorry,
Tuesday, whenever they're back in. Yeah, Tuesday. Sorry, I'm in Canada.
If they're back on
Tuesday,
he lost.
Sunday.
He lost if they're back on Tuesday.
I don't know. It could be either or. I think the likelihood of the jury just being unable to decide increases with every day.
Yeah, I agree. I said I didn't think we'd hear anything at all this week, simply because they've got to go through those 7 questions, and then they've got to decide an amount. And that's like, it's a little disappointing to hear that, you know, a huge Amber sympathizer got on the jury and wasn't one of the alternates. Like, I would have been okay with that being an alternate, you know?
Yeah,
but
apparently one of the most sympathetic jurors to him, juror number 8, I believe, got cut, which Twitter was very upset about. But there's apparently 4 that seemed fairly sympathetic to him. He lost some of them on the second cross-examination for being too snarky with Amber Heard's attorneys. Yeah, but apparently he does have some people who seem sympathetic, but there's one that is apparently very, very bought in based on body language and stuff like that. So I would not want to be on that jury right now.
Oh my goodness, no. And this is all going off body language too, so it's kind of hard to tell anyways, but I was curious about that. I think it was it DUI guy or something that was giving some updates, but
he did some coverage on the jurors. He was one of the guys I was following about that. It was interesting.
It is pretty interesting to hear because, like, rightfully so, those people should have, you know, they did a good job not showing them and everything. I would feel like that would put them in a really dangerous situation. But it is nice to kind of, I don't know, be the fly on the wall that knows their, at least, like, general body language. I'm not a body language expert, but I can tell Amber's full of bullshit. Like,
here's the thing. Anything but financial damages for Amber Heard, substantial financial damages in Amber Heard's favor, Johnny wins the PR war.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say with my thoughts on how it's going to end. Is like, I think no matter what the outcome is, Johnny clearly has the favor of the public. And the best thing that could happen is, regardless if he wins or loses, is that he has enough popularity and people who believe him that Amber was the abuser, which, I mean, remember, this defamation case isn't to prove who was the abuser. It was to prove if what Amber said was the cause of him losing his career, right? The best outcome of this is, no matter what, he can reclaim his career. And I feel like that, I think after this trial, that's what's going to happen is he's going to get some jobs back, hopefully, or he's going to get some new roles, and he's going to go back to the way it was before Amber Heard did what she did.
I think the most damning thing that I personally noticed was the Adam Waldman stuff. Like, him being a lawyer, having that professional relationship and leaking things to the public seems extremely unprofessional to me.
Oh, you mean damaging to Johnny Depp?
Yes.
Oh, he's a big reason that the media went after Johnny Depp so hard.
I don't understand what was going through his head.
Well, Depp's head or Adam Waldman's head?
Waldman's head. He like, I get it, like, so I kind of get why he wanted to put out the audio of Amber, because he was then able to get a little bit more public favor. But when public favor was already on Johnny's side just a year ago, he was leaking stuff. And I had nothing against that umbrella guy at all. But that's a big deal. That's a big deal to leak stuff. Somebody like that. And that could cost them the case.
Well, you're talking about a guy with potential ties to Russian oligarchs. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
He's not, and I'm not. I mean, Johnny Depp probably didn't research him that thoroughly when he brought him on, because Johnny Depp's mistake is he sort of shakes somebody's hand, looks them in the eyes, and decides if he likes the cut of their jib. It's gotten him to trouble again and again and again. But yeah, Adam Waldman's involvement early on, I think, definitely soured the media on the Depp side. Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
yep, exactly. It's a huge liability, and hopefully it doesn't hinder things too much. I think I would almost be more on Johnny's favor when I'm in Johnny's court. I don't mean that, but like as far as a potential win, if that wasn't. That was pretty damning. And then the metadata expert who was I was looking forward to because I love that stuff. And nope, he just sucked. He just
okay. One, in fairness, they were both leaking. Two, you've said this twice. What didn't you like about the metadata expert?
He was like, they're different file sizes. Dude, you can compress stuff, take a screenshot. Those kind of things are very easily done and not necessarily a big deal. And then he kept going, oh, well, you can edit stuff in Photos 3. Well, from my understanding, Photos 3.0 was basically just iPhone's version of our, Android's gallery or Photos by Google. It wasn't anything that would necessarily be damning. And I was hoping for some timestamps, I guess, was my big deal. Like, I want to know if you're going over metadata, I want to know times and dates. I want to know that kind of information that's embedded upon it. And he just goes, okay, well, here's 2 photos. Look, she changed the hue. Like, we know that. We can tell. We're not dumb.
Well, I thought that, he can only say what he knows for certain. And that, I guess it didn't get through. He wasn't clear. The minute you change anything, the file size, anything, you don't know what else has been changed.
That's very true.
The whole issue. Like, it's very clear the photos that ended up in the tabloids were punched up.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
The problem with any modern photos is they go through a filter the minute they're taken and display on your phone. Right? Especially with 4K, they punch up the colors. So weird stuff happens. I'm a ginger. I break digital cameras, man. Weird shit happens with the contrast, right? My lipstick color changes the color of my skin in photo correction. But, they've had to correct similar things with black complexions because they didn't test it on black skin tones. And so it's like, wow, what is this? In early iPhones and stuff like that. So it's already altered from the original image. It's not back in the day where it was film. But there were also, I think that was enough to sort of point out shenanigans. To me, those images never looked like impact bruises. They always looked like she'd been crying her eyes out and there was tissue damage from rubbing her eyes, something like that. It looked more consistent with that than a facial bruise. And I used to do sets and then have to go on camera because I worked on a very low budget Canadian TV show. I've had to cover up bruises for camera. If they're deep from getting hit in the head with something, they never totally cover up because there's an indentation, there's a dent, there is swelling, and no amount of icing completely takes down that swelling. On Corden, she looked like she'd been crying her eyes out the night before. She didn't look like she'd been bopped in the schnoz, And
but it just looked fabricated. I guess I was just disappointed we didn't get the whole, I get it. There was shenanigans done. I don't know. I felt like he kind of dropped the ball a little bit because, and then it was just like a hobby for him. Like, it was very weird to me.
Well, there were a few objections on that witness, weren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't know what was sustained there because I think they cut the mics.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they do. And there was some stuff that wasn't included that people that have been following the case have found. Like, there was one photo where it's showing her from the side and you can see some makeup in her eyebrow. Like, I know sometimes stuff can't be put in for a certain reason, but you would think something like that would be. Or in the picture where Johnny's holding the ice cream and it fell out of his hands when he's blacked out, there's a bruise kit down in the corner. Like, there's things that people have noticed that they didn't include. And I'm like, come on. Like, you didn't bring your gay game. You did, but you did better than in UK, but include these things.
I thought his comment about how if he was eating ice cream and nodded off, he wouldn't have had his hand in his pocket was a fair point. And
Yeah,
I even
absolutely.
missed that one. There, like I said, the only part I found him not credible was his accepting of his substance abuse problem. And I thought that was a bit of a cheap shot where, you know, they diagnosed him with substance abuse disorder. Like, that was a massive no shit right there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
What does that have to do with anything? I mean, he fully admits to popping pills since he was like 11.
Holy crap, that's so young.
But I did find it, and I agree with you. I thought they kind of missed, they didn't quite put this together well enough with her tendency to document things.
Yes.
You know, the fact that there was, you know, there's doctor's stuff about needing to calm her down, you know, that calm her down and control her. There's correspondence for that, but no whisking her away for medical attention because of serious internal injuries.
Yeah, okay, sure, Amber. Like, you had doctors around you the whole time that you claim all this stuff happened. She said she was crawling in glass. You don't crawl in glass and come out with not a single cut. Like,
no.
These doctors would have documented the bare minimum at least, and none of it exists.
I thought they didn't clean up the whole thing about he didn't show up with glass. I mean, I guess the jury can put it together because they said he was seen by a doctor before they took him to the hospital. They would have cleaned him up before he went, precisely because he was trying to cover up that he was being abused. That makes more sense. Like, his explanations as to why he lied at the time track better for me than hers. But
absolutely,
you know, I've got decades of sorting through bullshit on celebrity stories with this stuff. A jury doesn't have the same track record. And so you never know. People are really not good at determining deception. That's been, you know, proven by science again and again and again. And that's the big wild card here. It is really a question of what narrative they believe, whether if Heard is lying about one thing, she's lying about everything, or all they have to do is buy that he abused her once and trashing the closet is abuse. Therefore, what she said is true. It's all about what narrative the jury's going to believe. And I honestly don't know between those two scenarios which they're going to come down on. Yeah, well, because I mean, it is a good point, right? He did trash her closet. And you have one person there who had a psycho ex who terrified them by doing that kind of behavior. They're going to sympathize with her in that moment. Right. And if they say, well, they were both pieces of shit who wailed on each other, but what she said was essentially true, who knows, they may find in her favor. That's the big wild card. I think other people will be so put off by... And I do think the whole pledge versus donated is critical to the whole thing. Whether that
pledge is not the same thing, you dumb bitch. I'm just putting it out there.
But when you're talking about the sums of money involved here too, a regular person is going to be, no, I'm sorry, you either donated 3.5 million or you did not. Pledge, donate, like what, that doesn't make sense to a regular person. And that lie may be significant enough to have a couple jurors go, nope, I don't care. She's lying. She lied about that. I buy she'd lie about anything because she lied about a children's charity, right? Yeah. She lied about a children's charity. That is just a non-starter for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a low blow and it's going to really hurt her. But so let's wrap up. Kate, do you have everybody's link to their channels is in the description, by the way, guys. But Kate, do you have anything fun and interesting coming up on your channel this week?
Well, not really. I'm still trying to get back into the move of things
Into the
because
groove?
groove of things since I've been on hiatus for a while, but I am planning on doing more reviews on more different things I haven't checked out before because I realized over the time doing the same thing over and over again, it just kind of gets like, every time making like a video over something dramatic happening, and I'm like, I think I might do better with more scripts because I'm just like, I just keep saying the damn same thing over and over again, and I just get like annoyed by that, and I'm like, I don't think I'm making a point. Maybe if I orchestrate my reviews and maybe do those from now on, I think that might like be my more like upcoming stuff to look forward to now.
I love it. I know. I totally got there too. What about you, Carrie? Do you have anything coming up on your channel this week?
Yeah, I'm finishing up a video tonight. Hopefully get it up tomorrow, where I'm gonna talk about like the 5 top manga superhero series I think comic book fans would like.
Oh, that's
Ooh.
awesome. I like that. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be watching. Just saying. What about you, Bianca?
I'm editing crowdfunding indies right now. I'm trying to do something different. My thumbnails may change a little bit, so I'm really excited about that. I've also been trying to like do some lives. I'm like, could I do it tomorrow? But I'm like, no, I can't because I'm gonna have to finish the Batman marathon I'm doing and go to the movies that night too. So if no live that day. Who knows when I'll do the live? It was gonna be about the new Jon Stewart animated movie.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, cool.
She-Hulk, the whole thing about She-Hulk, what's
Right.
happening behind the scenes, what's been worked on, and comic readers spreading misinformation to non-comic readers, and non-comic readers spreading it to other people, and it's making them look like idiots.
Yeah, I love that though. I just laugh at it because they're dumb. I love laughing at the insanity that is the hate bait and the rage. It's awesome. It's awesome. What about you, Liana?
Well, tomorrow's Manly Monday.
Yay!
Is about. I started actually doing male-oriented content after years of resisting, because we need to talk about it. It's going to be about why it's so hard to talk about male victims of abuse and the defiance of narrative and all that stuff. That one's much longer than the video for Tuesday, which is about why some people still blame entertainment for violence. And then on Wellness Wednesday, we're going to be talking about codependency, which came out of the discussion about the need to be needed. And some people like, well, isn't feeling needed good? It can lead to codependency. So that's going to be Wellness Wednesday this week.
Ooh, I love it. That's always my favorite anyways. It really is. What about you, Saggy? What do you have going on? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And then I forgot my radio show that's a spinoff out of Wellness Wednesday. It's Not Therapy, Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You can stream it. There's a link on every one of my videos to that, so that's easy to find.
Awesome. What about you, Saggy? What do you got going on?
I'm going to start an OnlyFans, yep.
Nice.
It'll be my first subscription.
with more than 6 dildos from Texas?
Yeah, with more than that. I'm going to use all of the dildos in Texas. No, just my usual stuff. I have a interesting new topic, a new YouTube content creator who's got almost as big of a mouth as I do, which is really surprising because I think my mouth is pretty big. That's why I'm starting OnlyFans.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So just the same old, my daily streams of me just yelling at my mic.
I love it though. I'm not kidding. Like I'm like, okay, well, Saggy, I see she's gonna be going live in a half an hour. I'm there for drama. Let's do this.
Right, and trust me, the internet provides so much.
Oh my god. Your last one, the last one, I don't know if it was your last one, but the last one I watched about Mecha Random calling people darkies. I was just flabbergasted. Just fucking
Me
flabbergasted.
too.
Oh,
I couldn't believe
What?
that.
it got worse. Like after
Oh,
that,
no.
it got worse. She actually had a tweet where she said that she didn't care about the Texas shooting because she hates
Oh my
I
god!
saw that too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
boy.
I'm dead.
I was so ticked
Yeah.
off
Fuck
of
that
that
bitch.
because now when I say I don't like kids, they're like, "Oh yeah, well, what do you think about the shootings?" And I'm like, "Bruh, those are dead kids, man."
Right. I mean, you don't gotta like kids or want kids to be like killing kids is wrong. Like,
Right.
God damn. Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
How can it get any worse for that girl?
Oh, trust me, it does. It does. It does. I'm gonna be going over it sometime soon.
Yay, I will be there. I have a stream here tomorrow, guys, at 10 a.m., a little earlier than normal.
And one at 2, right?
Yes, and a premiere at 2. Me and Bianca are doing our bad ideas at 2 instead tomorrow because we are doing the new webtoon from DC, which is fucking awesome. You guys will love
Ooh, are
it.
you
It's
talking
good?
about Vixen?
Yes!
Oh, it was so good.
It is so good. I fucking love it. And then at 10, I'm doing a Born of Blood 2. Got a trailer premiere. Dun dun dun.
And as a Vixen fan, I go off on a bit of a tangent, but a
But
good
it's awesome.
tangent.
Yay.
Yes,
bad
exactly.
Ooh.
All right, guys, we are going to wrap up. But yes, make sure you guys check out everybody in the description. And we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.